have not had time. Just have not had time. So, finally did my rewatch of Sinners, which is the vampire movie that came out a couple of months ago. None of these tabs are the one I need to have open. And I took so many notes. But I have to go to work soon. So we're going to try to do this as successfully as possible, as quickly as possible. And the reason I rewatched Sinners is because the Edit That Out podcast girlies were going to talk about Sinners, and they finally did. So in order to be able to watch the newest Edit That Out podcast, I had to watch Sinners. So there's your spoiler alert. If you watch their video, their newest video, it's Maria Gloria, Thailand, and Ariana. I don't think I'm supposed to say it like that. Maria Gloria, Thailand, and Ariana. They're the Edit That Out podcast girlies. Love their podcast. Highly recommend. But I was talking about Sinners in their comments, and then I was like, fuck, I don't have time to record my video today. And then I stuck my dog with my brother and, like, put him on dog duty. So now I can... record this. Because I haven't had any time for this. So, watch Sinners. Alright? This was a rewatch, so I went into it knowing that it was a vampire movie about racism, is what I went into it knowing. Because I watched it, like, a month ago, and it's been a while, so I kind of, like, forgot, so I watched it again and, like, focused on, like, everything as much as I could. So, Sinners notes. That poor boy is absolutely covered in blood. His name is Sammy. And it's Sammy with an I-E, not with a Y, because I learned that at the end. And so it's spelled wrong most of my notes. And then I said, why his daddy's hair look like that? It's very square. He just had a haircut that it was very Wolverine, but without the pointies. It was like flat box. It was very strange. And then his dad said, like, put that guitar down, boy, or something. And then I said, well, it's not really much of a guitar now. It's just the neck. And then I said that I liked the humming music because it sounded nice. Because they were all like, ooh. It sounded phenomenal. And then I said, they don't have shoes. They're in the cotton fields and they don't have shoes. Can't imagine that felt very good on their feet. Also, you know, the fact that they were slaves. That's the point it's trying to get across. And it's bad. But I was worried that they didn't have shoes on. And I understand why they didn't have shoes on. But, like, get them some shoes. And then the camera just changed from full screen to widescreen at, like, the 5-minute mark. I wonder why. This happens all throughout the movie. It changes from widescreen to full screen, and I don't know why. At first I thought it was, like, the present versus the past. Because, like, obviously the movie starts with Sammy covered in blood holding the neck of the guitar. And then it cuts to earlier that day. So I don't know if that's the deal, because later in the movie it gets, like, backwards. I don't know. But it's something to note when it happens. And then I said, Sammy has a lot of siblings. He does. There are many a kid in that house. Because they're, like, all sleeping on the floor because they don't have enough room. And then, hello, Michael B. Jordan times 2. You're fine, I guess. Yeah, he's attractive. Sue me, okay? Don't actually. That'd be bad. And then this is the thing I'm most proud of noticing. Is there are carrion birds, like the birds that like eat corpses, you know, flying in circles in the upper left corner of the screen while the twins are waiting outside of the rusty building at like minute 6, which should give you a sense of foreboding, I'm sure. Otherwise, they would have scrapped that take. Like, if there was something that wasn't supposed to be there, they would have been like, we gotta do it again. Something died. My computer's so glitchy. I hope it's not glitchy for you watching this. Something died behind that building. Having watched the movie before, so spoilers, obviously this is a spoiler thing, you know? Sorry, my nose is running and I do have tissues. Hold on. I'll fix this problem. It's not going to sound very good, but I'll fix this problem. Ew. Okay. Welcome back. So, there are the birds, right? And if something were, like, interrupting the take, they would have, like, scrapped that take, one would assume. So I'm thinking it's done on purpose. And having watched the movie before, I'm guessing that's where the white supremacists dumped the bodies of the people that they lynched. Because later in the movie, you find out that the people who sold the twins the building were just gonna come slaughter everybody that was in the building in the morning. Because that's why, like, the floors were clean and stuff, because they were killing people in there. So I think that's where they dumped the bodies, and that's supposed to be like the first like warning sign of something fishy's going on here. There's something dead back there. That's what I think. I mean, I could be entirely wrong. It could be a coincidence. It could have not been on purpose. But I think that's what it is, I think. So then they whip their guns out at the guy. And I said, at least this white guy knows that they're dangerous so that they survive for the moment. So, like, he didn't try to take both of them on and kill them both right then and there. I mean, I get that he was trying to lure them to get more people to be able to kill all at one time. My computer's so glitchy. I really hope this is not glitchy later, but it's not looking so hot. Anyway, so, like, they survived the moment because they were well prepared, is my point. And then the white guy's like, no, the Klan doesn't exist anymore. And I said, yeah, okay, sure the KKK doesn't exist anymore. Sure, people are still as fucking crazy as they were then. I actually wrote wild, and that would have sounded better, but crazy is the word that came out of my mouth. Yeah. People are still terrible. And then my next note is Sammy's voice is really nice to listen to. Wow. Just wow. Love it. Sounds phenomenal. 10 out of 10. And then the next note is, man, I really do not fuck with church stuff personally. Not my thing. Made me uncomfortable. Not my thing. Sammy is younger cousin to the twins. That's important to know. The blue hat twin, making sure that his little cousins are not getting undeserved ass whoopings, is really nice, I think. Making sure they're safe and that his uncle is still the guy he remembers him being. Because, like, when they're in the car... my timer. When they're in the car, he's like, your dad's not, like, hitting you, right? Like, they have, like, that conversation. And I think that's good, that he's, like, checking on them. That was nice. And then there's the conversation they have about, like, the Jim Crow laws. And that's to show that racism is everywhere, because Samuel's like, I heard they don't have Jim Crow out in Chicago. And then the twins were like, it's everywhere. At least here we know who. Because in Chicago, it's new people you don't know for sure. But back home, you know for sure. So it's to show racism is everywhere. The landscape might look different, but the people still act like dickweeds everywhere. They came home because at least they can tell who the dickweeds are. And then I said, poor snake, it's suffering because he stabbed it and then it's just bleeding out. And it's bad. Got it right in the neck, too. If snakes had necks, that's where it would be. Which is also, I guess, kind of foreshadowing. If you didn't know it was a a vampire movie going in. Wow, so ass backwards. If you didn't know it was a vampire movie going in, that could have been construed as, like, the bite. Which twin stabbed the snake? Was it the one that got bit or the one that got not bit? Because if it's the one that got bit, that is dark and fucked up. It's dark and fucked up either way. But if that's supposed to be foreshadowing him getting bit, that's crazy. Okay. And then they'd been gone from home for 7 years. And I said 7 years is enough time that you might look different. So the people you think are just going to be like, hey, welcome back. They might not recognize you as good. I mean, you are identical twins. So I guess that point is kind of null and void, which I kind of forgot that that was a thing that existed. They are twins. That's kind of like the whole point. Kind of. Whatever. Oops. Anyway. They tell each other that they love each other freely. That's really nice. The brotherly, like, love. That was nice to see, because we don't see that a lot in movies. The dudes are like, yeah, I'm so tough and stuff. And they're just like, yeah, I love you. Great. Moving on with my day. Totally normal. Totally. That was nice. Then I said, do you think the clear outfit differences help actors remember which mannerisms they're supposed to adopt when they're playing twins? Because, like, obviously, I refer to them a lot as blue hat, red hat, because that's how I was telling them apart, because I forgot which one was Smoke and which one was Stack. I'm pretty sure Smoke is blue hat and Stack is red hat, but I'm not entirely sure. Also, I realized I didn't give you a rundown of the movie before I started going over my notes. Smoke and Stack are identical twins. We'll get to the plot, I guess, later. But I gotta go fast because I got shit to do, places to be. So we gotta. Yeah. So I wonder if that's like a thing that actors who play twins, like Dove Cameron played both Liv and Maddie, which absolutely rocked my world when I was fucking 10. I didn't realize that Dove Cameron was in fact a single human being and not a twin. Like, she was one of one, not one of two. Didn't know that. That was shocking to me, and I was very upset that they weren't actually twins. Great on her, though. That's crazy to be able to do that successfully. Same with Michael B. Jordan. Anybody who plays both twins, how? So I wonder if the costuming helps differentiate, like, mentally. Like, I wonder if it feels different, and then you're like, this is the mannerisms I need to be in now. I thought that was interesting. Or at least an interesting thing to think about. So then it says, blue hat is Smoke, red hat is Stacks. That's good to know. Do I forget that later? Probably. And then whichever one drove the truck of goods to the grocery store, can't remember what hat was with who. I think it was Smoke, but I don't actually know. So him getting the little girl paid more was sweet. Like, getting her to, like, know her worth. That was sweet. That was good. I really like the accents. Every time somebody opened their mouth, it would just sound nice. I really like the accents. They were great. Shot him in the ass real good. An unhinged note to have. Does it happen? Yes, it does. And then I said, working for Capone, like Al Capone, the mobster. The answer is yes. I shot them outside. They need help. Yeah, we can take care of that. Your wife owns a convenience store and you own the other one. You're just gonna patch up bullet wounds? Like, you just have that general knowledge? Is that general knowledge? I don't know. I wasn't alive during the. I don't even know when this would have been. Like 30s? 20s? 20s or 30s? I don't know. Of the 1900s. Obviously not now. Yeah, your wife owns a convenience store, you own the other one, and like they're across the street, which I think is cute. But you're just like, yeah, we can patch them up. Good, but also how? So gambling, drinking, music, and food is the plan of the night. Because they want to open their juke, which is like it's like a fancy bar for dancing and singing and blues music. I would assume that's what it is. That's what it seemed like it was supposed to be. Like a nightclub. A nightclub. That's the word I was looking for. It's like a nightclub. So Grace, who's the lady in the beginning, who I refer to here as Girly because I did not catch her name. Her name is Grace. Grace knows how to negotiate. Good for her. She knows what she's worth, and she is determined to get what she's worth. And Smoke, who's Blue Hat, doesn't want red paint because that's his brother's color, so at least he wants a discount. I'm assuming that's right, but I don't actually know. I think it's more supposed to be like foreshadowing, like bloodshed. I think is why they only have red paint. It's supposed to be like blood, but I am going to operate under the assumption that Smoke just didn't want his brother's color to be on all the advertising. And he's like, oh, if I have to, I want it at a discount. Little brotherly rivalry. I think that's cute and adds a little bit more to their character development. And then Red Hat, which is Stax, is teaching Sammy how to give head. And he's going to let him drive on their way home, which is nice. Keep that in mind. Stack said he would let Sammy drive on the way back. Keep that in mind. Okay? That's a Mouska tool that's going to help us later and, like, crush our souls a little bit. So just keep that in mind. Smoke killed their dad because he knocked Stack unconscious, so the twins' dad was abusive, which is why they were checking on Sammy to make sure his dad wasn't. That's good, making sure the cycle isn't continuing because the dads were brothers. I get it. It's good that they're, like, making sure he's safe. Red Hat tells Sammy he has Charlie Patton's guitar. I don't know who that is. I forgot to look it up before I started. Hold on, we're going to do research right here, right now. Charlie Patton. Oh, and I spelled it right in my notes? Interesting. I spelled it Charley, and it's in fact spelled that way. That's awesome. So, Charlie Patton was an America Delta blues musician and songwriter, considered by many to be the father of the Delta blues. Oh. Isn't that one song by that guy named Mark, like with a C, Walking in Memphis, doesn't that mention the Delta blues? He had congestive heart failure. He has one sibling. He was 5'5". He was 43 when he died. Heathman Plantation Commissary, MS. Is MS Minnesota? I don't know what MS is. Mississippi. MS is probably Mississippi. That would make the most sense. American Delta Blues. Okay, so that makes sense then. That's what I figured, that it was some musician in the blues pathway. He's a big deal. All right, I understand why the guitar is so special, or why he was told it was so special. Sammy is real good at music, real good. Red Hat looks shocked and very happy with that discovery because he's gonna make bank off of Sammy. The harmonica guy, whose name is Slim, which I figured that out later. Harmonica guy is foreshadowing also, which again you wouldn't know until you watch it twice. He says something along the lines of, "You're paying $20 maybe for tonight, but I've never heard of your juke before. It's here tonight, but will it be here tomorrow or next week?" The answer is no, and you're not even getting paid for one night. Foreshadowing. The bad thing happens. I mean, harmonica guy, so Slim, his current Saturday night gig has been and will continue being here for decades, which is job stability. Like, that's smart to not dip out on the gig that's paying you every weekend. That makes sense for a one-off experience to not do that. However, harmonica guy can be bought with $40 for a night and unlimited Irish beer. That's a lot of money. So, like, you know? And then, my next note is Haley Steinfeld in the house. She's so pretty. Preacher Boy, which is Sammy. Preacher Boy's girlfriend, Perline, is her name, is pretty too, but she's married. Flirty and married. Probably not happily married, but married. And I don't like cheating. I don't. But based on the events of the night, I'm gonna let it slide this time, because it don't make no difference anymore. So, Mary, which is Haley Steinfeld's character's name is Mary. She waited for Stack. He was gone 7 years, and she waited for him. She's loyal like that. And then Stack says, "I told you to stay the fuck away from me too, but you didn't hear that part, did you?" And then she said, "I heard you. I heard you loud and clear, but then you stuck your tongue in my coos and fucked me so hard I thought you changed your mind." And then my annotation after that is, I love her. She's standing on business. She's like, "You said one thing with that mouth, but then you did something else with that mouth, and the two things didn't match up, so I just figured you were confused." Love her. Iconic. Perfect. And then Mary, which is her, came home to bury her mama yesterday, and I'm so sorry. That's awful. And Stack claims the twins only used her mama for food and a bed, but I'm just under the impression that they didn't know she died. I think he's trying to, like, save face and, like, act, like, tough. But I don't think he knew that she was dead. Which is bad, but also, I don't know who Mary's mom was. I don't know if she was, like, well known outside of their town. Like, it's a small town. I don't know. So it's possible the news just didn't get to the twins. And it's possible they did not know. It's possible that Smoke still doesn't know that Mary's mom died. Like, that's entirely possible. I'm unsure if he ever knows. And then Stack says he's going to hell. Or Stack agrees. Mary tells Stack to go to hell, and he agrees and says, "I am," and that he'll save her a room right next to him. And he's still harboring, he doesn't say this, but he's still harboring feelings, and is right about where they'll end up one day. but they're going down together. And then Sammy comes up and he's like, you know what? Maybe she ain't white. You think? She looks white? That seems awful. But, like, I guess she's, like, passing. So people just assume she's, like, full white. But, like, white people are, at least the white people of the South in the 20s and 30s, they were just so, like, oh, you know? That's, I don't know if you know what that means. In my head, that makes sense. They're, like, really proper. Like, they wouldn't have said that he fucked her real good in the middle of a busy train station. I just think she's to the point. But it was funny to me that he was like, you know what? Maybe she's not. No, I like her. She's good. Very direct. Very like, hey, you did this, and the facts didn't match up, so I think you're lying. And then Slim, which is harmonica guy, knew all the people digging the trench on the road, and apparently they were in his old blues band. I had a really hard time understanding what he was saying when they were in the car. I did not have subtitles on. I should have put subtitles on and, like, rewound it, but at this point I was already half an hour into the movie, and I had already been watching the movie for an hour, so, like, I was like, I simply cannot. So then and then he goes on to say that, like, white people enjoy the blues but don't like the people that make the blues. And I said, white people like what? This is what it looks like when your microphone light shuts off. Actually, your screen turns off first, and then your microphone light turns off, which means your computer died while it's plugged in. And you were 40 minutes into recording a video about Sinners, the movie, and now you don't know if you have any of that footage, and you're gonna have to edit the video together? No! I'm so mad. So, in case you missed it, my screen turned off while I was recording, and then the light on the microphone turned off, which means that my computer died while it's plugged in, which happens sometimes because it's an old computer, and the new computer I bought, which isn't really a new computer because I had to buy it used, the new computer I bought, the camera that's there that I can see, says it doesn't exist, so I can't record my YouTube videos on my new computer like I wanted to, or, like, you know, Sims building videos. So I've been using this one. I'm so mad. Good news, I have the footage from the first half of this, less than half of this video. I have the first 30 minutes. It's saved. However, devastated. Was not a good time. Not fun. Anyway, back to what I was saying before my computer decides to fucking turn off again. I'm not looking forward to editing this video together. I hate having to piece my videos together when my computer freaks out. I hate it so much. Anyway, so I was saying that white people like the art that people of color, which I'm pretty sure is the politically correct way to refer to people. I don't actually know. So white people like art made by, like, other ethnicities. Is that the right word? They like it. They just don't like that the whites, derogatory, but, like, pretend those are parentheses. The whites, derogatory, didn't come up with it because what the fuck? It doesn't matter. But that is a thing. That is very much a thing, is that white people just, they're like, we didn't come up with it, so we hate it, but also we love it? Stupid. Oh, and now my text messages aren't working. What the fuck is going on? Still not working? What the actual fuck? I am on the struggle bus today. And I haven't even gone to work yet. Struggle bus. Okay. It's fine. Sorry, my man's on break. Man's who is my man's is on break. So Rice, which is Harmonica Guy's best friend and blues companion, was lynched in the train station because the train conductor was racist and didn't believe that a black man could have so much money without stealing it from a white. So he lied and said that he killed a white man for it and then raped his wife. And that got Rice killed on the spot because the white man lied. What a shocker. The white man lied. I don't like history. Or the fact that, like, people are still racist. It's ridiculous to me. The fact that people are racist at all is ridiculous to me. But, like, the fact that we still haven't learned enough. It drives me fucking crazy. Anyway. So, hey, everybody. Lying is bad. Just in case you didn't know. Lying is bad. And everybody, people, are all humans. And should be treated as such. You know, not, strung up in a fucking train station. Because a white man lied. And then when Slim is telling that story about his friend getting killed, you can hear the noises that the guy made when they killed him. Did you pick up on that? I hope you did, because I could hear it, which means I'm sure everybody else could hear it. That was fucked up to listen to. And then I said, poor harmonica guy. He slips into the blues to keep going. So, like, he tells Sammy and Stack that story. And then immediately starts singing. Immediately. Because it's either that or break down crying and be of no use to himself. So instead, he starts singing as a distraction and gets him to keep going. I said he's upset and he's sad and he's angry, and that's how he deals with it. It's probably also why he drinks so much, because that's really traumatic, and like that's how he's coping, self-medicating. That's how he's coping. And then I said Stack is an asshole, but like he also knows that. I think her name was Therese. I might be wrong. That Therese, the guy who he's talking to, which is Cornbread. I later determined his name is Cornbread. Or his nickname is Cornbread. I don't know what his legal name is. That Therese, the guy he's talking to's wife, would be interested in the deal. Because he was real vocal with what he said about her in front of her husband, and then her husband like stood up for her, which like good on you. But then the fact that Stack was right, she was like, well, you can't just like give up that money, so like what's the deal? She was into it, you know, maybe not into it, but like willing to hear him out. And then while Stack was making people mad, one Stack was making people mad, Smoke went to a grave. Oh no, it's a child's grave. The handprint on the rock. Devastating. And then he's like, Papa's here. Papa's here. That was an awful face, I'm sorry. their kid, which is Smoke, and his girl's kid, because I didn't know her name for the longest time either. I'm still not entirely sure that I know her name. I think it's Alice, but I don't actually know. I'll have to check my notes. She might be referred to as Blue Shirts Girl a lot in here because I'm really bad at hearing the names. The papa's here was heartbreaking. Their kid is buried in her backyard. He brought the flowers from the convenience store that he bartered with Grace for earlier to the kid's grave. And then I said, damn, she's gorgeous too. She sees right through his shit. She knows he stole to get the money for the building. And she takes the little kids' money, the kids that were in her store, which is apparently not money. I couldn't really tell what it was. But Smoke was like, this ain't money. You can't take this. Take real money. I'll trade you. And then she refuses to take Smoke's money because his money is dirty. Obviously, he's in the mob. And then she threatens to cut him. Like, to get him to stop. And all the women in this movie are just bad bitches. The baddest of bitches. They're 10 out of 10. Fantastic. Glorious, glorious, glorious. And then she is very happy where she is in life and, like, her business and stuff. Smoke thinks only money can get you power, which, I mean, money and power do unfortunately go hand in hand, which is super fucked up. But, like, you don't need money and power to be happy, you know? Like, it makes things easier, but then it also leads to, like, corruption and all that shit. She says she's used to all of her spiritual knowledge. She's used all her spiritual knowledge to keep the twins alive when they went to war and then to Chicago. Like, she had, like, she practiced, like, I don't want to call it voodoo in case it's not voodoo, but she had, like, mojo bags, which I'm pretty sure is voodoo? I don't know. My only frame of reference is that one episode of Bones where they're in New Orleans and then she says that Jesus is a zombie. That's my only that's my only previous knowledge, so I don't actually know. So I think I just refer to it as, like, spiritual knowledge throughout this. I love how the background gets fuzzy when she's talking about her spiritual stuff, which is something that I picked up on here, obviously, but then I was watching the Edit That Out podcast, and they were like, yeah, he was having, like, the vision at the end because the surroundings were fuzzy, and, like, the fight at the end between him and the other guy, you know, because we haven't gotten there yet, just in case you haven't gotten there yet, everything was fuzzy, which means that her mojo bag was, like, protecting him. Didn't realize that. Honestly, it was so late and my eyes were fuzzy anyway, so it's kind of hard for me to tell. But here, when the spiritual stuff is happening, the background gets fuzzy. Him asking why her roots didn't work on their baby is absolutely awful of him to say. She said she didn't know and is so sad, but she kept him alive, so some of it worked. And he still wears his mojo bag that she made him, which is good because otherwise he'd be fucking dead. I can't tell if they are smoking, like their bodies are smoking, or if she's burning something in her house that is smoking, which is before she lit the candle and he lit up the pipe. Smoke's real name, so the blue shirt guy's real name is Elijah. And it hurts him coming back, but he loves her and misses her, and she knows her worth, and she made him say it out loud, like, to her directly before he got titty pillow privileges and dirty sex stuff, because they were just like, we're doing it. And they did do it. They did. And then I said, guys, the door is open. You didn't close it before you, like the kids went out and they didn't close it, I don't think. There might be children about, obviously, since your last customers were children. And you're just, like, going to pound town on the counter. What a wild sentence. A wild sentence. What the fuck? Man, I hope nobody walks in during this part. As in, like, family members. Everybody working together to get this juke joint up and running. Are they doing it because they know and love the twins, or purely for the money? Is it greed, or is it familial ties? That is a question to think about. And then Grace and her husband get in the car and they leave their daughter Lisa at the grocery store. And I've seen this movie before. So spoiler if you haven't. Obviously this whole thing is a spoiler, so I shouldn't need to say that, but I feel like I kind of have to, because it's a spoiler for things we're going to talk about later. Anyway, is that the last time that little girl sees her parents? Is that the last time that Lisa sees her parents? Because they wave from the truck, and she's in the grocery store, and then I think that's the last time she sees them, which is horribly depressing. Horribly. The white guy falling out of the sky is Crispy. We find out he's Irish later, or at least I'm fairly certain he's Irish, because he's singing about Dublin, which is in Ireland later. The people whose door he falls on are racist too, fuckers, because they're, in the Klan, which is really bad. Also, that feels like something you don't leave just, like, on your couch. Wild. He's saying that the Native Americans took his wife, and he notices that the people whose door he went to are in the Klan and offers them money. The Native Americans tracked him to their house, and they're just trying to prevent the vampire apocalypse. But the wife is an asshole, so she didn't let the people at her door come in and help. So now everybody's fucked, and it started with them. In one of my comments on the Edit Out podcast, I said that it's Grace's fault that everybody in the juke died, and I said it was partially her fault. It's really the white bitch's fault in the beginning. Because it's not entirely Grace's fault. She didn't start the vampire apocalypse. The vampire apocalypse started because these people were assholes. And their assholeness infected more people. And more people. And more people. And then the vampire apocalypse was upon us. So they wanted that Native Americans help. So now everybody's fucked and it started with them. The lightning is terrifying. Oop, the creep you let into your house is covered in your husband's blood. Gee, I wonder why. Definitely didn't take a chunk out of his neck. No, that's totally abnormal. Almost as if the Native Americans knew what they were talking about. That there was something unnatural about the guy that fell out of the sky and was all crispy. And then I said, wait, the screen is back in full screen. When did that happen? Hold on. And then I said, 41:25 in time with the music is when the screen switched back to full screen. And currently at 45 minutes, Jesus, I've been trying to watch this for over an hour now, nearly 2. So I'm only 45 minutes in the movie at this point, and it had been 2 hours of me watching the movie. I took very thorough notes. Her husband is a vampire now, and I'm sure she is too. Back into widescreen once they get the power running at the juke. Everybody is so happy right in that moment. Sammy's married girlfriend is there. Red Hat and Blue Hat's girlfriend are fighting for the fact that the people working in the fields worked really hard for everything they've got, so they should be able to spend their wooden general store money at the bar if they want or need to, which we knew which side that Blue Hat's girl would be on. I think her name is Alice, but I don't want to call her the wrong name. I just want you to know who I'm talking about. I could call her Mojo Lady. That seems bad. What else call her? I think her name's Alice. I'm pretty sure. So, we knew what side Alice would be on, since she's very against stealing. She made that very clear. And she values effort over cash. For example, the kids paying and not cash and giving them the goods anyway, you know? So, she's very into, like, the effort and, like, making sure that everybody's happy and taken care of. There's a weird bird outside my window. Blue Hat, which is Smoke, wants dollar bills, but I don't think that's the way they would get business in their small town. Because, like, they set up shop in a small plantation town. Their target audience for the juke is plantation workers who don't have much in the way of money. And you can't trust the white people to not want to kill you. So you have to be willing to accept the payment that the plantation workers can offer for your goods and services. If you were content with running a small juke for the people in your community and, like, accepting what you can and making it, like, a good spot for them to come to after work because they worked real hard all day, then that would have been lucrative if you were happy living small. But Smoke and Stack are not into living small, which is why they went to Chicago and joined the mob. Because they wanted to make a name for themselves. They wanted to get out of their daddy's abusive shadow. They wanted to do all the things. I get it. And it's okay that your dream is different, but you set up shop in the wrong place if you want it to be lucrative. At least the type of lucrative that you're looking for. Because it's not safe there. Obviously, they were going to kill you. And then Haley Steinfeld is back. People know her, just not as well as they used to. Because Cornbread, which is the guy at the door, knew her when she was little. Sammy's girlfriend is surprised that he's cousins with the twins by blood, not just, like, really close, you know? Like, they're like family. No, they're actually family. And she was surprised. Sammy trying to act cool in front of her is so funny. I'm not nice all the time, and I'm not that young either. Well, are you sure? And then the door guy, which is Cornbread, wanted to go to Mary's mama's funeral, but him and his wife, which is Therese, I think, had to work in the fields, which is so very sad, because, you know, work doesn't let you take time off, especially if you're, you know, an indentured slave. That's also bad, but even the work environment today, you can't just, a lot of places, you can't just be like, somebody died, I gotta go to a funeral. They need, like, advance notice, but you can't advance notice when somebody's gonna die, so, like, it's all a joke. And then Sammy asks Mary, which is Haley Steinfeld, what are you? And then she says, what am I? I'm a human being. Yes, you are. Ba-na-na-na-na. That's, end of conversation. You're a human being. Everybody should be treated like a human being. And then she goes on to say that her mama's daddy was half black and raised her mama so she wouldn't be killed by the Klan. So, like, raised her to be white is what I'm assuming she meant by that. I think. Like, raised her to fit into the white stereotype so that she wouldn't be in danger. Which I get it, you do what you have to do, but... And then her mama raised the twins like they were hers. Which is why Mary was so upset that they didn't go to the funeral. And Blue Hat, which is Smoke, says that they sent her mama a ton of flowers while she was alive to appreciate them, which is great. But also, did you know she died? Did you? Ow. Ow. Red Hat set Mary up for a successful life. And I might be getting confused because it went from Blue Hat to Red Hat, but I'm pretty sure they were in different. Maybe this is when. No, this is when Blue Hat walked by, talked to her, went upstairs to Red Hat, and then made Red Hat go downstairs and talk to her. So Red Hat set Mary up for a successful life, not the life she wanted. She now lives in Arkansas. He taught her how to fight, how to walk away when the money is good, when the money she's got is good. Got her a rich white husband and a farm. Wow, I'm having so much trouble speaking at the moment, actually. It's great. It's fantastic. But she didn't want to be white. She wanted to be with Stack. Is what she wanted. She didn't want to act white. She was not raised to act white. She was raised to be herself, is how she was raised. And married white because she had to, because for safety purposes. Or like because that's what Stack set up for her. But she loved Stack and wanted to be with Stack, and he wanted her to be safe, which is really sweet, but like also y'all would have been so much happier. So Stack was worried for her safety. If she was seen with a black man, the clan would have tried to kill her too. Ridiculous. I mean, I understand that's true, but like ridiculous, you know? And then I said, I fear the 52-minute confession is going to be great. He'd kill for her, but won't tell her the truth, which is sad. And then I said, Stack. Red Hat is Stack. Oops, he took the hat off. And then I was like, fuck, how am I going to tell the difference? Costuming matters. Especially when they're identical twins. At least to the audience, it most certainly matters, because I had trouble. He told her he loves her, and that he thinks about her all the time, and he just wanted her to be safe. He did it for her, which is really sweet and all. And then he said that he'd like kill for. Just that was very good. That was good. I like how the women are holding the men accountable. They're doing good things. You know, good things. Alright, let's hope it doesn't turn off again, because I'm getting to another 30-minute mark, and I'm going to have to edit this together after I get out of work, and I don't want to do that. Okay. Where was I? I said, shocked that there's not a beer on the piano where Slim, harmonica guy, is playing. And I said, never mind, there it is. It was in his hand. Sammy Moore is a share... So then harmonica guy, Slim, tells Sammy to introduce himself before he starts singing. So Sammy Moore is a sharecropper from Sunflower Plantation. They call him Preacher Boy because his daddy's a preacher, and he wrote a song about it. And that song is actually really good. He was forced into religion at 8, lied to his daddy about it. Sammy loves the blues is pretty much the theme of the song. He's like, yeah, I'll totally follow your footsteps. But he really, like, so much passion for music. So much passion for music. And then I said, I'm obsessed with how this kid sings. Now we're back in full screen where they're talking about piercing the veil, and everything gets fuzzy and there are ghosts dancing around. So, like, that spiritual mojo-y type stuff. That's what that is. That's what that is. Because he's piercing the veil with his music. Wow, I didn't sleep good last night either. Okay. Everybody's so happy right now. This is a fun montage, kind of like a visual history of black music. And it appears like Asian music too. I think it's a celebration of where we've been and where we're going musically and artistically. I think that's the point. It's like here's where we were in the past with music, here's where we're going, here's where we are now. I think it was really well done. It looked like a lot of fun. It looked like a lot of fun. It just kept going. Like, everybody was just like dancing with all these different genres all at the same time, which sounds like a sensory nightmare, but it was really pretty to watch. And then the roof burning down as he finishes singing is stressful, but like, and it's kind of like, hey, bad things to come. But also, like, burning down the house in, like, music is, like, a good, like, bringing down the house. Is it bringing down the house or burning down the house? Burning Down the House is a song, and I'm pretty sure that's by the Talking Heads. Anyway, I feel like that's supposed to be, like, a musical compliment that he, like, brought the house down, but also, like, a, hey, bad things are coming. And then the walls are, like, burning around them as they're outside partying. They're now outside because the walls came down. While the building burns around them. But don't worry, Cornbread is still guarding the door. That isn't there because there's no walls because they burnt down. But Cornbread is still sitting in the chair at the door. And then I said, no, not the white supremacist vampires. Not the white supremacist vampires watching them have a good time. No! Because bad things. Because they're vampires. And bad people. And then it's back to widescreen. Sammy getting some in the storage room and giving head. And he's good at knowing what to say. Like, dirty talk, he did well. So that mini lesson with Stack was apparently very good. And he learned a lot. Red Hat heard through the door and was very proud. Having Grace listen was weird, but, like, nothing much we could do about that now. 1 hour, 1 minute, and 44 seconds into this movie at 8:24, and I've been watching it since 6:20. It's going to be 10 by the time I finish the damn thing. 2 months when the boys are out of money is the prediction, which is why Smoke is pushing for cash so hard. Cornbread, don't let the vampires in. Remick, Joan, and Bert, fuck you. Tall vampire asses are liars. I think that's supposed to say y'all. I think it autocorrected. Y'all vampire asses are liars. You are clan and want to eat people. Red Hat kind of seemed to look like he was falling for it when he were in the doorway and they were talking outside. Like, through the door they were talking. And Red Hat kind of looked like he was like, oh, yeah, these kind of sound good. Yeah, we should have let him in. Could have made money. And Blue Hat was like, absolutely the fuck not. No. Mary looked concerned. Alice looked like she didn't trust them as far as she can throw them. And the vampires being worried about the black people being racist is crazy. I mean, listen. Anybody can be racist. But the fact of the matter is, this time period, black people were actively being murdered by white people. In large quantities. They have every right to be wary of you, you know? So, which, in current times, not that this isn't still a current problem, but, the vampires being worried about the black people being racist is crazy, which kind of brings it to the not all men thing, because in this time in the South, it wasn't safe for black people to be around white people, because the white people would kill other people for just being not white. So, okay, maybe not all white people are bad, but it's enough white people to be wary of who you get close to. which is the same argument as this. Not all men, but it's enough men where you have to be careful. So, like, is it being racist or is it being safe? But then you flip that around and use that argument for white people avoiding black people. Is it being racist or is it being safe? And it feels like it's being racist. So, like, all of it's bad all of the time. But the point is, at that point in time, just is factually not safe. People are being strung up. So, like, it's a safety hazard. It's a building full of black people. The Klan is still very much around. And they were like, I'm not taking that risk. I don't care about your money. We're not taking that risk. Because, like, they have people they love in that building. It's better to protect them. So, Mary's family. That was sweet to hear. And then the vampires are like, can't we all be family? And I said, no, you can't all be family. You're strangers. And then Red Hat says they have enough pepper to handle them if they brought friends, but they forgot the gunpowder in the truck. That is bad. That would have been useful. Because they were prepared for a Klan attack, which is something that Thailinda and Maria Gloria and Ariana brought up in the Edit That Out podcast. Not to, like, keep bringing it back to the Edit That Out podcast, but that's why I watched Sinners in the first place. So it's all part of it, you know? They said that, like, they were prepared for a Klan attack. They knew it was possible and probably going to happen. They just didn't know when. That's why they had the big guns in their truck. And then they forgot it. Whole thing. And then Blue Hat is looking at all of the outcomes, and Red Hat kind of wanted to welcome the vampires in. Both Mary and Alice. I think it's Alice. I really hope it's Alice because I don't want to be calling her the wrong name. I could just look it up. Hold on. We're gonna find out right fucking now. Hold on. Sinners cast. It's Annie. Not Alice. Alice is the name of the baker lady that I follow on YouTube. Annie is the name of Blue Hat's girlfriend. I'm so sorry. Didn't mean to be calling you the wrong name this whole time. Annie. I knew Alice didn't sound quite right. Wow, I feel bad. Okay. Annie. Her name is Annie. Annie. Okay. Annie and Mary are distrustful of the vampires. That they don't know are vampires yet, obviously. Smoke doesn't know any happy musicians, is warning Sammy about that, which is foreshadowing. And Sammy is also not going to be a happy musician. And says it's cute and all now, but it'll get harder and more depressing later. Sammy wants to go off on his own to follow his musician dreams. Red Hat and Mary are talking about how the people at the juke are paying with store credits, not real money. Mary says she'll go see if the whites are okay enough to get some real money flowing, which is a mistake. I get you're taking initiative for your man. However, it should not have been at the cost of your life. Now, if Red Hat wasn't being greedy, then they might have all survived the night. It's really just everybody's choices just kept making the night worse, and they didn't think it was necessarily bad at the time, but everything can affect everything else, and everything's bad. If they all would have been happy just settling down with their girlfriends and living a quaint life, the way the juke functions would have been great. They would have been a good business loop for a small community.
However, I also understand wanting to break out of the quaint stereotype and make a name for yourself, but at a certain point, the greed takes over, and that's not really living. People paying with store credits are the ones trying to really live the life they got. Mary using her whiteness to her advantage and coerce the whites into giving her information is very girl boss of her. Blue Shirt killing his daddy for Red Shirt is also powerful. Red Shirt wanted to run to a place in Mississippi, and they did, and that was all fine and dandy, except for the fact that the mayor of the place they went to in Mississippi knew who their dad was and thought they'd be the same type of evil. So Blue Shirt is giving Sammy good advice: either stay and make church music as a preacher, or go to Mount Bayou in Mississippi and play your music there, and don't join the mob or steal. Like, keep your hands clean, you know, like don't go down the mob path. Don't do what we did. Do what you want, but do it safely, you know? Don't get involved in like the dark side of like, you know, we're just stealing from people and making bank and stealing, but then we're gonna get caught, you know? Like, don't do that. Don't live risky like they do. And Mary knows exactly what Smoke and Stack did and how they got the booze and the money, because she knows her man, who's not really her man, but knows him because she's been with him for so long. Blue Shirt is firing Sammy because it's his last juke, because he's trying to protect him. Red Shirt is giving Mary a gun, which that little scene was kind of hot because he was like up behind her and he took the gun and like she strapped it to her leg. That was nice to watch. Okay. Blue Hat. It went from Blue Hat to Blue Shirt. Threatened to kill Sammy for ever playing in any juke again after tonight. Says he's a soldier who was given a command and he's pointing at him, and Sammy looks like scared because he's like, I'm a soldier. You gave me a command. Like, he's like, you don't fuck around with that kind of stuff. Like, it's serious. And then I said, Mary, sweetheart, I wish you didn't go out there. The white people singing is making me uncomfortable. She sounds so great, though. Like, the lady who was singing, her voice was beautiful, but I hate her guts. She did a great job making me hate her. They're singing Go Lassie Go. Kind of sounds like a warning because Mary's approaching, and they're singing Go Lassie Go. As in, like, turn the fuck around because bad things are gonna happen. Except she didn't turn the fuck around. She didn't. So they're kind of sort of warning. Kind of sort of went over her head. And then he went over her head and chomped on her neck. I said, they're master manipulators. 3 versus 1 is not fair. She didn't stand a chance. And then I said, girlie, don't tell them any personal information. Not about your dead mama. And Mary said, I'm sad as all. I don't need no saving. And then I said she's a girl boss again because that's correct. You are sad now, but you'll be okay. I mean, it'll take work and it'll be hard, but you'll be... She is self-sufficient. I hate the glowing red eyes. They're very creepy. And the drool is very yucky to me. I mean, I get it, but ew. And then, pull that gun out, girlie. You're strong. I'm sorry for what's about to happen to you. Sammy, your girlfriend can sing. Her voice was amazing. Mary, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It was... I wish she didn't go out there. I really wish she didn't go out there, because that was bad. And then I said, can vampires invite in other vampires? Because I'm curious to know that. I don't know. It feels like it shouldn't be allowed, but, like, it could be allowed. I'm not really sure. Because, like, if it was allowed, why wouldn't Mary just stay in the building and then have one of the vampires come in and then she can invite them in, you know? So it feels like it's probably not. Mary is walking more confident now and walking less sad. Harmonica guy, which is Slim, is drunk and watching the door while Cornbread goes to pee. Red Shirt's real name is Elias. Mary is making out with Red Shirt while she can. Hold on. So she's making out with Red Shirt while she can. He said she's somebody else's, so kind of treating her like property, but also respecting the fact that she's married, meaning her white husband, not his brother. I thought she was cheating on Stack with Smoke the first time I watched it. The second time I watched it, I realized, no, she's married, and I just missed that fact. Or it didn't compute the first time. She's married. That's what he's talking about here. She's married. I have mixed feelings because she is cheating, and he is kind of treating her like property, but also she's taken and cheating, so it's a whole thing. Cornbread, don't listen to the voices in the trees. Red Shirt and Mary are now also going to fuck in the closet. Everybody gets to get laid once. Mary is hungry. The sound of Pearline, which is Sammy's girlfriend's, shoes are covering the sound of the fight that's happening by the door. Which I thought was interesting. And then Stack, who's Elias, says, "Baby, you're drooling." All concerned. Like, he's, like, genuinely like, You're drooling. And then he's just like, yeah, I'll let you spit in my mouth. Absolutely. Wild segue. Wild. I have a sensory thing with spit. So that was very ew to me, but I understand that in some circles that was really hot. So, like, live your truth, my peeps, is what my note said. Because that's what I wrote. I'm just not into... I can't. The consistency of spit freaks me out. And then Mary's bite mark is very sad. And then I said, that's a nasty cut on that guy's face. Sammy walked in on Red Shirt and Mary fucking. Keep that in mind. Sammy refused to interrupt sex time alone. So he brought Smoke with him. And then when they break in and she's covered in Stack's blood, Smoke, it's not what it looks like. It looks like you just took a big ass chunk out of my brother is what it looks like. And you know what? She did. That was a gross bite. Like, she really got in there. And then Smoke shot her up real good. And she's getting back up, though. Her saying she and her new undead friends are gonna kill every last one of them is awful and unhinged. But I saw a thing. After I watched the movie the first time, or before I watched the movie the first time, where the reason she wants to kill everybody is because she doesn't see it as being dead. She sees it as being able to live with her family forever. Which means that the clan couldn't kill them. Which means that she could be with Stack. So, like, I get it, but also... Ew. And then I said, poor twins, that was horrible to have to watch him die. He's covered in his brother's blood. Slim is Hamarka guy's name. That's when I figured out that his name was Slim. That took way too long. Sammy knowing he could have stopped it and blaming himself if he had known is also very sad and depressing. Smoke's girl, Annie, her name is Annie, saying he shot Mary and she kept running like nothing happened, and then saying it's a hate that they're dealing with is important, I think. No matter how much you fight back, the hate is still rearing its ugly fucking head. And then Smoke begging with her to mojo Stack back to life. It's awful. And then he's like, the best thing about me was him. That's so sad. And then the lady from the beginning, who I'm referring to as Grace, the grocery store lady, wanting to go home to their daughter and sending her husband out for the car. Well, technically he offered. He was like, I'll go get the car. And she was like, yeah. Don't go outside. Don't go outside. You'd all be alive if you didn't go outside. Because if he didn't go outside, then the other vampires wouldn't have known about their kid. So he wouldn't have threatened the kid, which means she wouldn't have let the vampires in, which means they all would have lived. Or at least most of them would have lived, you know? And all the people they sent home already when Stack got killed, they went outside too, so they're all gonna turn, and that's gonna be an even bigger problem. Annie is Smoke's girl's name. Took way too long for me to learn that. That's where I figured that out. Oops. Cornbread preaching love everybody in the fakey way, you know, that people do. And you're like, we could all be family. We could all. I'm sorry I keep doing the accent. I'm really not trying to. I just think accents are fun. Also, I don't realize when I'm doing it. I have problems. He's like preaching like, love everybody. You're supposed to love everybody, which is not how Cornbread was acting before. It was very like fake, preachy type, saying love everybody. And then Annie was saying that he's a hate. It's funny how those things go together. How saying we have to love each other, but you actually hate people and you're trying to, you know, eliminate them. It's kind of the same. Harboring men's hate while preaching to love everybody. And then Cornbread said, it'd be your own people. And I said, like Mary? Because Mary was your own people. And Mary's the one that came in and bit Stack. And she's also part of the reason the vampire apocalypse happened. And then it says, Smoke, hurry the fuck up and get up. You shot Cornbread, but he's gonna keep coming. And then I said, what about Cornbread's wife? Who's gonna tell his wife? I am fairly certain she was pregnant in that field. Who's gonna tell Cornbread's wife? She can't support herself and a baby with one person's meager income, I'm sure. How is she gonna survive? And then the fact that Stack is dead is so hard for Smoke. His brother is undead on the other side of the wall, and Annie's deciding that they're not hates and they are in fact vampires. Which, it's odd to me that she didn't figure that out when Stack said that Mary bit him, but you know. Grace is the lady from the beginning's name. And Annie says that hate switches places with the soul of man. Vampires trap the soul in the body with the hate. They can't feel warm sunrises because they'll burn, you know. To free the soul from the vampire, they have to kill them. Slim saying he had a light-skinned vampire who bit him everywhere but his neck is wild timing. Not a great audience to tell a sex joke to at this exact moment in time. Slim is going to protect everybody because he says the devil has come for him a bunch and it's not got him yet. Annie making Smoke promise he'll kill her so she doesn't get trapped in her body if she gets turned into a vampire. The person Annie has waiting on the other side is their kid, and that's so sad. And then she's like, they're waiting for you too, so you have to die. Like, if you get turned, you have to die. Which is awful and sad. Smoke telling her that he don't care what her readings say. He's gonna make sure she gets home safe is so sweet. At least they're together and safe now. The Whites are singing again, this time with a storm in the sky. And they got all the people that were kicked out when Stack died. The original vampire seems to be Irish. He's dancing in the middle of the circle. And the song has, like, Dublin, and he sounds Irish. Don't actually know. But I'm fairly certain. His name is also Remick, I'm pretty sure. Is what I said earlier. Mary and Stack are together, though, which is nice, I think. The whole part where the Whites and new vampires are dancing after Smoke and Sammy go back inside is in full screen, and then when it goes back inside the juke, it's in widescreen. They're all eating garlic to make sure nobody's already a vampire. Smoke is doing his damnedest to keep Sammy alive since he couldn't keep Stack alive, which is awful. Sammy's girlfriend bitching about the garlic and calling Smoke evil is ridiculous. Annie hiding behind Smoke when Slim starts freaking out because the garlic is interacting with all the beer that he drank, was cute. And then the "you sure that was blood" is a shitty thing to realize after feeding another guy to the vampires. And he's dead. Poor Grace's husband, because he got turned too. The shift in his eyes when he wants to come in is so sinister. Like, you could see it. Ugh. The Irish vampire keeps preaching peace and love once the initial violence is over, which is what everybody says, and yet the cycle keeps repeating. Anybody who says, yeah, if we just kill a little, then it'll be peaceful. Are you sure? Because we still have wars. It's not peaceful. You sure? Yeah, it'll be peaceful. We just gotta kill you first. And the fact that it's about, like, souls, the fact that you have to kill the soul to then make peace. I feel like people without a soul are the ones who cause the issues, the distrust. It's the people who aren't really thinking with their soul, you know? Funny. But not funny, huh? Where is that from? Funny, weird. That had to have been a meme at some point. So the violent cycle keeps repeating because everybody preaches, yeah, love and peace, but we have to do this bad thing first. Love and peace, but we just have to get this done first. We just have to kill these people and then it'll be peaceful. It's not how that works. It's really not. And then he threatened to go turn Lisa, which is Grace's daughter. And then I said, ew, 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 ew. The Irish vampire knows what how Grace likes to be in and out. Ew, ew, ew. What a gross thing for him to know. Ew. Gross. The Irish vampire devil came for Sammy because he's too talented and can draw masses of people for vampire to turn. And Sammy was ready to sacrifice himself for everybody else. Stack and Mary sound happy. No matter how many guns or how much money, they're going to take it from you when they want. It seems like an important line. To me, anyway. No matter how many guns or how much money, they're going to take it from you when they want. Almost like material things are not the end-all be-all. Almost like having an overarching power is bad. The vampire guy allegedly intercepted the clan's plan of killing the twins and everybody that they invited over that night. And yet, you're still killing people. You're trapping their souls. Weird. The clan's members... It jumped, hold on. The clan's members in town plan to slaughter everybody there, which is bad. Okay. Everybody voted that. They invited over that night. We're going to start a new clan based on love. Yeah, of people you like. Which eventually leads to the murder of the people that you don't like. Obviously, the vampire guy has issue with the Native Americans because he knows that they know that he's a vampire. Yeah, we love all you people, but we're gonna go kill them because we have problems with them. That seems to be the cycle, you know? And Mary doesn't want to leave without the rest of her family from the juke. She's very insistent. After the violence, it'll be heaven on earth. Bullshit. But I know she believes it. Because, hey, they won't be able to die. The clan can't kill them. She can be with Stack. I think that's how she's seeing it. She can be with Stack. She can protect the rest of her family. They'll live forever. And she won't have to watch any of them die by the clan. They can live free. They can live free and not be worried. Smoke is the older of the twins. So Smoke is Elijah, and then Elias is Stack and is younger. Stack wants to be in it forever with Smoke, and it almost worked. Smoke was like, yeah, we can, yeah, and then was no. Poor Smoke. Bo is Grace's husband's name. Took me too long to figure that out. The vampire singing is making me uncomfy. Bo blowing kisses at Grace through the window is sad and awful and manipulative and bleh. Grace giving them an open invitation is another part of the reason that most of the people in the juke didn't make it out. Why did you have to do that, Grace? Why? I get your kid is at home, and they threatened her. But she knows better than to let strangers in the house. Especially to let people in the house, especially strangers, and your husband is still there in the crowd outside. So for now, she's safe. But you're not anymore. First off, it is late at night. Girly Pop is in bed. Second, the grocery store is most definitely closed at this hour. So she's not taking customers. Third, they'd need to be invited in. It's a grocery store. Odd to have to be invited into a grocery store. I feel like Lisa's smart enough to figure that out. And your husband can't trick her if he's still outside of the juke. So Lisa was entirely safe. And would have been safer if you hadn't let the vampires in. And then it says, in fact, Grace immediately burns to death, stabbing her husband. She barely even has to deal with the consequences of her actions. Immediately burns to death. She lights the wall on fire on accident, and then stabs her husband in the chest, and then burns with him. Which is awful and horrible. And now you've just left Lisa with no parents. So now Lisa is all alone. That's really fucked up. Grace burned to death, taking her husband. All the vampires feel the Irish vampire's pain. Annie got bit by Stack. And then she was saying, not you, not you. Because she didn't want to get bit. And she definitely didn't want to get bit by her man's brother. And then she says, Elijah, you promised me. Notice how did not call him Smoke. Elijah, you promised me. And then Elijah says, I love you, and then stabs her in the chest. Oh, awful. And then Mary, blood-curdlingly, screams Annie's name in pain because she didn't see turning into a vampire as dying. She sees it as living forever. Annie would have lived forever, but Smoke killed her, and Stack was shook by it too, but Annie and Smoke are strong. And that is why Annie wanted to die because she didn't want to be stuck in her body, and Smoke had to kill her because he could not put her through that. And Stack had to pull Mary out of there because she was distraught. Slim cut himself on the wrist to draw the vampires to him so everybody else could survive. He sacrificed himself to the devil for them. And then Slim gets ripped apart, which is really gruesome. An Irish vampire bites Sammy's girlfriend Pearline when she tries to save him. And then, oh fuck, when did we get into full screen again? Okay, when they put up their final stand at the front door, that's when it went back to full screen at an hour 47-ish. Sammy's girlfriend pushes Sammy away because she's gonna turn. She's covered in blood. Smoke tells Sammy to keep running and to make it till morning. Smoke and Stack fight. Stack blames Smoke for killing Annie and ruining the plan. And here is where something that the Edit That Out girlies, specifically Thailand, noticed. Oh, yay. That Thailand noticed that the background was blurry when they were fighting, and that's because the mojo bag that Annie made for Smoke was keeping him protected, so that Stack literally couldn't bite him. I thought it was just because they were brothers, and he just couldn't do it. No. Mojo bag was doing its job. Annie cooked that shit up real good. He was safe. That was good. Smoke and Stack fight. Blames it on that. Sammy and the Irish vampire fight. Sammy is praying, and then the vampires start praying with Sammy, which just... Ugh. Irish vampire's daddy's land was stolen from him, and the people who stole it were quoting the Bible. And he hated those people, but the Bible still brings him comfort. And I said, that seems like a trauma thing to me. Because the people who are preaching peace and love stole your daddy's land, and now you're stealing people and souls. The Irish guy calls the thieves liars because they promised things that weren't true, like dominion over earth and animals or whatever. And then Smoke couldn't stab Stack, but is sorry he couldn't keep him safe. Stack said not to be sorry because he always did keep him safe, and that was a really sweet brotherly moment, you know. And now the big vampire guy is trying to force Sammy to make music with him and force him into his cult. Smoke got the final stab in the Irish guy. Vampires are crawling away on fire. Smoke is holding Sammy so tight. He's the only family he has left. The big vampire guy burnt in a fire tornado at sunrise. We're back to widescreen after the vampires finish burning. Smoke tells Sammy to bury the guitar neck. He says no because it's Charlie Patton's. And then Smoke said, who the fuck told you that? And then he's like, Stack. And Stack lied. It's actually their abusive dad's guitar. So the guitar might have been evil, not Sammy, which is why the vampires came. And the guitar was making the devil's music, not Sammy. And then, remember that thing I told you to remember in the beginning where I said that Stack told Sammy he could drive the car home? Sammy got to drive the car back, but he's alone and covered in blood. That's awful. They were all so excited to open the juke that morning. We cut back to full screen when Smoke is sitting outside of the juke thinking about the morning of the vampire apocalypse, and then back to widescreen when the memories stop. Everybody was all smiles, back and forth between widescreen for present and full screen for memories. Smoke is distraught. Smoke is still wearing the mojo bag. He took it off. He took off Annie's protection. Why would you do that before you had to do the thing that you had to do? Then he whips out a big-ass gun with helmets and stuff, presumably from their war days. He's going to make good on his promise to kill all the fucking Klansmen that came knocking. He opens the box in widescreen, and the white people pull up in full screen. Wide for the memories and full for the present, now the clans are at the juke the same time Sammy gets to the church. Smoke is taking out as many of those bitches as possible, highly accurately, might I add. He's got guns hidden in the ground, like in holes in the ground that he dug. And he tossed a bomb into their car, good. And then he kept going even when he was shot. Sammy's memories are in wide and present is in full. Smoke is starting to shake and fall down from blood loss and probably shock. Hope that cigarette is good. That's going to be his last one. Smoke's present is in full screen. He sees Annie breastfeeding their baby, and that's in full screen too. Fuzzy, but still full. The background is fuzzy because it's a mojo thing, or it's like a spiritual thing, like a vision, because that's what Thailand has said, that the visions and stuff were fuzzy. And, like, I think it's just because he was dying and was kind of crossing through the veil himself. He was, like, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. This part was really important to me. So he sees Annie breastfeeding their baby. And then Annie calls him Elijah and doesn't want any of that smoke to get on the baby. Doesn't want any of that smoke to get on her, which is the baby. In addition to the actual smoke he's puffing, this can also mean that she doesn't want him to taint or expose her to his gangster identity and ways, which means he has to finish up business and kill the last Klansman so he can come home to them. I don't want you to be Smoke with our baby. I want you to be Elijah with our baby. And with me. I want you to be Elijah. I don't want you to be Smoke. I don't want you to be this personification this persona that you put on. I don't want you to be in the mob with us. I want you to be with us. I want you to be Elijah. I don't want you to be Smoke. And then he tosses a cigarette unleashed the whole magazine into the last Klansman, and then held their daughter, and then said, "Papa's here again." My heart. And Sammy's still holding the neck of the guitar and driving away with it. Now Sammy is old and is 1992. He's still playing the blues. His band is named the Perlines, which is the name of his girlfriend who sacrificed herself for him. They were only together a day, and they were cheating on her husband, but I guess that's okay because she's dead. So, like, she would have been safer if she didn't cheat on her husband, but it's Sammy, i.e. not Sammy with a Y. The show he just played was on Saturday, November 1st. He's headliner, in person, Sammy Moore. In walks Mary and Stack, dressed for the 90s. Also, we're back in widescreen and have been for a while. Bartender sees Mary's pointy teeth and beats it. Smoke made Stack promise to not seek out Sammy and let him live his life. Stack says it won't be long until Sammy dies and offers to make him immortal. Sammy is okay with dying. Stack owns all of Sammy's records. Stack wants to hear Sammy play the real blues, which he does, on the twins' daddy's rebuilt guitar, their last joint present to Sammy. Stack hugs Sammy. Mary tells him to take care of himself. Before the sun went down, the day the juke opened was the best day of Sammy's life, even though a lot of the time he is paralyzed from the memories. Stack says it's the same for him because it's the last time he saw his brother and seen the sun. When he says seen the sun, the shot is in full screen. He said they were free for just a few hours. They were all happy. It was fleeting, but it makes all the bad stuff worth it. It ends in widescreen. After the credits, Sammy plays guitar in the church, and it starts as like regular church music, and then catches a bluesy beat. And he couldn't do just church music even if he tried. He was born for the blues, and this is also in widescreen. And that is the end. Now that I've talked for an hour and a half. Jesus, an hour and a half. More than an hour and a half. That's ridiculous. So that is the notes I took while watching Sinners. Okay. And then if I go to my comments on the Edit That Out podcast from today, which is called Hot Takes, Diddy Allegations, Reality TV Mess, and News That Made Us Gasp. Let's see. I loved that the brother relationship, they both openly cared about each other, which I already mentioned. I didn't clock that the mojo bag was why Stack Red Hat couldn't bite Smoke Blue Hat. That makes complete sense. I also didn't clock the invite them in thing, because to me that's just regular vampire thing. So I figured it was regular vampire rules and regulations. I did catch a lot of the other things though on my second watch and took note of on the widescreen. Friends. Sammy's voice is amazing. It's crazy how someone can play twins as a single person. I mentioned Liv and Maddie. I don't think that good standalone movies should be forced into making sequels because that cheapens the message of the actual movie like the first time, and it seems like just a money grab for the writers, and that just credits them as writers, and it's the whole thing. I know it's the big corporations that are trying to be like, you need to make a sequel to make us more money, but like, if something is good, you should trust the writers' writing is good and have them write something else that's original to make another smash hit and not a shitty sequel. It took me 5 hours to watch the 2.5 hour movie because I took so many notes. Grace is the reason most of the people in the juke died that night. She's not the only reason, of course, but for the final fight, she was definitely the reason those people died. They would have been safe till morning otherwise because nobody was letting them in. I get she was trying to protect her family to the best of her ability, but instead she left her daughter without both of her parents. And now I'm all hot and want to rant about this movie, but don't have time to film a video today. I made time because, damn. I think that's all the comments I made on their video. So all of the points are the same. So what did you think about Sinners? If there's anything I got like completely wrong that you'd like to correct me on, or like introduce me to things, or if there's something I said that I'm not supposed to say, let let me know? Because I'd like to know. I'd rather know than not know. And like continue not knowing. I liked it. Long movies are kind of the bane of my existence, especially since I take notes like that. It took me 5 hours to watch a 2.5 hour movie. So that wasn't great, but I do think it's a good movie. I think it has a good message. I think it's an important movie to watch at least once. The characters are likable enough that you feel attached to them and are sad when they die. I feel like Mary just really flipped a switch, but she didn't really flip a switch. I genuinely, my two biggest takeaways that I need you to understand. The carrion birds in the top screen when they first get to the juke joint before they like make the deal and buy it. That was really important to me to note. And the fact that the reason Mary wanted everybody to be undead was so that they could live their lives without having to worry about being killed by the clan. I think that is the two things I picked up on that I believe wholeheartedly to be true. Those two things are like the things, you know? But yeah, if you want to like teach me about I don't know if it's voodoo or hoodoo or something else entirely, I'd like to know about it. So if you'd like to teach me about whatever Annie was practicing, that could be pretty cool if you tell me like what she was all about in the comments, because I just don't have that lived experience, so I just don't know. Like I said, that one episode of Bones is my reference point. And it's been a while since I watched that episode. I love that episode though. It's such a good episode. So yeah, if you want to like teach me that kind of stuff, or like tell me stuff, that'd be cool. Share your thoughts about Sinners. Tell me things you found that I might have missed. Things like that. But those are the two big things that I'm happy that I noticed. And now I have to go because yikes. And I have to remember to edit this together later. It's not going to get posted till tomorrow. I don't think it's going to get posted tomorrow. Okay. I'm going to hang up now. I have so many ideas for videos. I haven't watched or listened to The Subway by Chapel Roan yet. I've been trying so hard to not. I have to do that this week, though, because if I'm going to hang out with who I'm going to hang out with this weekend, I need to have locked and loaded that song. I have to be on top. I also haven't listened to Dove Cameron's new song, which isn't really new. It's been out for like a month. I haven't listened to Romeo yet. Or watched I am so behind. I want to watch the trailers for movies. I haven't seen the Stranger Things trailer. I wanted to watch that for a video. I like reacting to things. I don't know how to legally do it where I like pop it up on the screen, but I'd like to like react to the things. I just have not had the time. And I don't have the time now either. So I'm going to hang up now. I have to go. I have no choice. I'm going to be late otherwise. So I will talk to you when I talk to you. I'm marginally more active on my Instagram. Not very active. So far behind on posting on there. It's stressing me out. I need to get that caught up because it's stressing me out to the point where I don't want to post, but I want to post, but I don't. But it has to be in order. And I had this whole plan, and now I don't even remember what I read. I've been reading a lot of Bethel fanfiction and Carol fanfiction from Walking Dead. If Beth didn't die, I feel like her and Daryl would have been cute together. And oh god, that's a spoiler. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm in season 6 or 7 of Walking Dead. I'm watching it with my parents. You have until season 5 with Beth. I'm so sorry. And I also ship Daryl and Carol. But I've been reading a lot of Bethel. I think they would have been but they would have balanced each other out. But but I can't watch like fan edits until after I watch the entire series because I don't want to get spoilers. I mean, the fan fiction itself has spoiled many a thing for me. It's spoiled so much. But like I can't watch the videos because I don't want video spoilers because that feels like cheating on my parents by watching it without them. So I don't know. Right now, at the part I'm in right now, Daryl is so sad. So sad. And I want to make a video talking about season 5 episode Coda. I want to. I just haven't had time. I have so many ideas. I promise I'm still here. I am just having a time, okay? So I'm going to hang up now. I have to go. Tell me which of those video ideas seems most interesting, and I'll try to do that one next, because I'm so out of time. Also, Sabrina Carpenter Lollapalooza. So good. It was so good. Maybe I'll edit my reaction to that into a short. But the last time I edited my reaction to something where I was recording the TV, it like got flagged and taken down after it got 3,000 views, almost 3,000 views. So I don't know. I don't know. I have to go. So sorry. Goodbye. I'm gonna hang up now. Bye.